Shalom, vracha. Before we moved the family to Cochin, I used to come out for the kashrus work all over India. And during one of these experiences in 2018, I decided that it was time to remove all the pictures of rabbis that I'd accumulated from the living room where we lived in Yerushalayim when I was in Kollel there. At the time, I had a wall dedicated to all kinds of different rabbis, Sephardic and Hasidic, Litvak, all sorts of different people, of whom some I had actually met and had correspondence with. Some of them I had only read their works, and some of them were people from the past whose deeds or their writings had inspired me. And I used to keep them up there as really a sign of like kind of pluralism, that I liked all these different writers from different factions and different groups. But after traveling in India for some time, I really felt that I couldn't have that much iconography up on the walls anymore. After traveling around India and seeing all the sort of images of different deities that change all over the place as you're moving around from one place to another, when I came back to Israel, I decided that my house was not going to be a place where I was going to have pictures of the rabbis on the wall. Another thing I started to realize at the time was that many of us, and myself very much included in this, had begun to sort of model myself after those writers or thinkers whom I had really connected with. And I started to dress like them. I started to read the same sort of svarim that they would read, and I would even sort of adopt certain customs or minhagim that they had. And as much as this, modeling, I suppose, is in some ways is healthy, it was really preventing me from becoming a better me. Because the tzaddik that I am doesn't look like any of these tzaddikim that I had on the walls. The tzaddik I have to deal with is the one in the mirror. And all of us are charged to be the best person that we can be, rather than trying to adopt a style or emulate the hat of some Rebbe from the past that we never met. We really are, here on this planet, determined to try and change ourselves and become better people. And I noticed that within the groups and the circles that I was mixing in, that there was a lot of attention placed on how this Rebbe looked, or this Rebbe's image being up everywhere. And for me, myself, I couldn't continue this anymore. I remember at the time my wife was quite shocked that I decided to take down all these Rebbes. And I said to her at the time that I wasn't taking down the importance of these rabbis and wasn't taking away the effect that their writings had had on me, or the thought structures that had been created through studying their works. Only I wanted to move into a place where there was no longer this iconography, this worship of the person and his image. I remember thinking at the time that I needed to get away from this and to connect to the writer of the Sefer, not to the image of the writer of the Sefer. Because after all, what does it matter to me what he looks like, what his skin color is, how tall, how short, what race? What difference? What difference does it make? Isn't it more important to be inspired by their works of Torah, to be inspired by what they've actually done in the world, their mitzvot? At this time, I decided that the most important thing for me to do was to focus on the image of the tzaddik in the mirror, the only one that I'm actually in control of, and the only one that I've been put here on this planet to develop, control, and to refine. And that is why when I came back from India on my second or third trip, before we made the pilot trip for Rosh Hashanah in Cochin, I decided I had to take down the images of these Rabbonim from my walls.